Hey y'all, Farmer Dre back at it. Today I'm going to explain to you guys some of the equipment you need whenever you have an orchard. Alrighty, so before you go and buy out all the equipment and the things you need for to run an apple or peach orchard or whatever kind of orchard you're running, it is very important to know what kind of growing system you have or you're going to plant. So like as you guys saw in my previous video, and you know some of the stuff you need to do before you plant an orchard is the first thing is first you got to know what growing system you're going to put in, or if you already have an established orchard, you know, if you have the moderate orchard type or you know, conventional orchard type, whenever you're planting 20 by 20 spacings, or you have a, you know, even closer density where you still, you know, 12 by 20, or like you see here, we're in the high density apple system. You know, the different density systems, they require different equipment, different size of, let's say tractors or sprayers, mowers, just different types of stuff if you need some kind of platform work. But for here on our orchard, we have different, you know, types of growing systems. So we got this high density system that we planted this year, and we got the moderate orchard type, which is about, you know, 600 trees to the acre, and then we have the traditional orchard type where you're planting 20 by 20. And today I'm going to kind of explain to you guys, you know, what the equipment we do have here on our farm already, you know. And the first thing is first, whenever you do have an orchard, is you need a tractor, you know, no matter what. And the type of tractor is very different to the different growing system. Like on this high density apple system, you know, you can't have your standard, you know, big old beefy tractor to come through the rows. We have a 100 horse, a New Holland TL100A. It's a 100 horse tractor. It's really big and beefy, and coming down up and down these high density rows, you know, it's kind of close. You got to watch out what you're doing back and forth. But for the traditional orchard type and the conventional orchard type, you know, the 20 by 20 spacings, you know, it works great. It's perfect. You know, there's plenty of room, you know, between the rows. You know, the tractor I believe is 8.5 feet wide, I believe, at the tires. So it's, you know, really tight. And for the traditional orchard type, or even for a peach orchard, you know, for if you're doing the 20 by 20 spacing, the tractor works great, you know. So for our tractor, the big tractor, but I know New Holland, and it came out with a new tractor. I know there's different vineyard tractors, different brands and stuff. I know Fendit comes out with they're compact tractors. I know some of those are really tight spacings. I mean, the tractor itself is built really compact, you know. It's probably 5 foot at the base of the tree. We currently, like I said, we have that 100 horse tractor, and it's worked great for us for these young trees. But whenever these trees do mature, we're probably gonna have to put the investment into buying a different tractor, a smaller tractor, so we could actually, you know, be able to maintain this high density apple system. So now the talk on the once you get your tractor figured out and what size and, you know, what kind of tractor you're going to get, the second, you know, piece of equipment that you must have whenever you do have an orchard is a sprayer. And we have on our orchard, we have a turbine type, a turbine style, where it has a big old fan in the back, and then we, you know, we come up and down the rows and it sprays, you know, down from the back of the tractor, PTO driven. But I know they make different, you know, style of sprayers for different orchards. The sprayer we have is made for apples and peach orchard, any kind of, you know, a traditional orchard type. But there's a lot of the 3-point attachment, you know, sprayers. You know, you connect to the 3-pointer, probably has a 200 to 300 gallon tank, and then it has the sides coming up and down, you know, to come through and actually spray them. And then you could actually use, you know, a vegetable sprayer behind like a 4-wheeler or a small tractor, probably got 20 or 30 horse, where, you know, it's a pull type or conventional type where you just have come straight up. And this is why the growing system is very important whenever you look for a sprayer. Is for the high density system, there's a lot more effective sprayers you can use with different, you know, types of sprayers, different nozzles and all kind of other stuff. But the sprayer we use now, it works great for the high density apples, but it also it's made for the conventional orchard type with a 20 by 20 spacing. So it's just made, you know, it has a big old fan, it has a high pressure pump where it goes up and down, you know, the cylinders, you know, pressurize the chemicals in the water in the tank. And it has a big old fan so you can, you know, the fine mist, the spray on the trees. And another thing with ours, ours has a 500 gallon tank. I know different sprayers have different size tanks, and the reason ours has we got the biggest one, or it came with the orchard when we first purchased it, is because we just fill it up once and we calculate how many gallons per acre you need and the rate and the sprays, and it gets all confusing. And you know, that's what kind of sprayer we have, is 500 gallons. So we fill it up once and come through and spray the whole orchard, and it does plenty. You know, during the dormancy season when we're spraying a lot of dormant oil, I gotta come through and spray, you know, a few more times, 3 or 4 times, fill up the tank with the oil and stuff. But it's just, the sprayer is very important whenever it comes down to having an orchard. It doesn't matter which kind. You could even have one behind the 4-wheeler, come through with the hose and just spray them down. Because if you have fruit trees, you know, in a monoculture style, we're gonna be here for many years. You're gonna have different disease problems, pests, you know, insects, you know, pathogens, different stuff. So you got to be able to keep those down and keep them sprayed. Alrighty, so the third thing on the list is whenever you do have an orchard is a mower. You got to keep the grass mowed, and we're in Southwest Missouri, and we get about 40 to 44 inches of rainfall average per year. This year we're probably gonna get a lot more since it's been raining, you know, inch and a half, 2 inches every other week, it seems like, or every week. We've been getting a lot of rain. We just recently just got 1.5 inches this morning, so it's been raining like crazy. So if you live in the same climate as us, you know, central United States, in this area, even North Michigan, wherever you live, and you get a lot of rainfall and precipitation, you're gonna have grasses and weeds growing in between the rows. You know, you can come through and just, you know, treat it, you know, chemically treat everything and make sure it's all dead. But whenever, as much rain as we get, then you get problem with erosion and the soil going away. So we want to keep our soil here, and the best way to keep a soil intact is to hold it down with grass. And for us, we have the 13-foot mower. We come through with and mow the traditional orchard type. And once again, I'm going to repeat this: your orchard system is very important and critical when it comes to the equipment you're going to use. So for the traditional orchard type, and we use the 13-foot mower. It's actually a 12-foot mower fixed, and then it has the extra swing arm that if you hit the tree, it swings back and then it cuts around the trees. But on those high density apples, you either need a 10-foot brush hog, or, you know, get a 0-turn mower, or just whatever to come up and down the rows and kind of clean it all nice and clean. And kind of sidetracking off the mowers, you know, it's, you know, going back to the sprayers, you know, chemical control and weeds, you know, that I could do a whole video on that. But, you know, keeping the weeds down next to the trees and between the rows. So we use the 0-turns and that 13-foot mower, and then we have a 30-horse tractor with the brush hog. I haven't really showed it much in any videos, but we recently started using that because the brush hog, what it does on this high density system, you know, it keeps the grass, it doesn't throw the grass out, and it doesn't let weed seed or grass seed, you know, kind of get where we're already killed off the grass in the strip there. So we've recently been using the 0-turns and the brush hog. But any kind of mower, you know, to keep the grass, you know, mowed between the rows. And, you know, it's just, a mower is very important whenever you have an orchard. So the fourth thing on the list is whenever you do have an orchard, is you got to think about harvest. And well, the third thing you need is either ladders, or an hydraulic ladder, or a harvesting platform. And we do have the traditional orchard ladders that we use in the conventional orchard type, you know, and that's what we use whenever we do prune the trees. And then just recently, 4 years ago, we bought a hydraulic ladder. It's a hydro ladder. It's like, it's a one-person foot control system, and we use it a lot when we prune the trees, but you could also use that and whenever we do harvest. But it's mainly a pruning device, and I don't think I have any video clips of us pruning with it, anything. I might have some. If I do have some, I'm going to show you guys. It's a really cool ladder, and it's just foot control. It's made by Phil Brown Welding Company out of Michigan, and they specialize in orchard equipment. So if you guys looking into getting an orchard, go ahead, hit them up. You know, Phil Brown Welding Company, and you know, they have that hydraulic ladder, and they also have harvesting platforms. This is why the orchard system is very important whenever you do look for ladders and the mechanization. Is on the high density system, you could use a harvesting platform to come through, and it has all the bins and bags, and it makes it all nice and simple. But for us, for the traditional orchard type, you know, we just use the ladders, and we have the fancy bags to come over ourselves, and then we use the big bins to harvest. And that's what we use, you know, to harvest. And the hydraulic ladder, it's an awesome equipment. It's probably my favorite tool here that we use here on the farm. So just to kind of mention on the ladders and the platform system, it depends what you want to do with your orchard. If you're going to be a U-pick operation, we're kind of like a commercial / U-pick operation. So if you're mainly just a U-pick operation, you're probably not going to need the use of ladders or any kind of fancy hydraulic ladders or platforms, because, you know, if the public comes out to pick, they're probably going to go through and strip the trees. And if you need to go through and harvest some, you just buy an orchard ladder. You know, they make them from 6 to 12 feet, and it'll be a lot easier. And the cost of a ladder is probably $200 to $300 compared to a hydraulic ladder or a platform, which costs, you know, anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. So, you know, knowing your orchard system and what type of, you know, why you're growing the fruit, you know, for U-pick or commercial production, you know, or just farmers markets, you know, it depends what kind of system and, you know, what your markets are going to be whenever you do use ladders or platforms or any kind of mechanization process. So the fifth thing on the list is, you know, either is having a packing facility, you know, having cooler space, a packing line. And like I mentioned before, you know, it depends what kind of farm you are, what kind of you know, if you're going to be commercial or U-pick. So if you're a U-pick operation, you don't have to worry about this last part here. But if you're a commercial farmer, and for us, we are a U-pick farm, but we also I would recommend any farmer who has an orchard to have a packing facility. Makes your life a whole lot easier whenever you do harvest stuff. So the first thing is first, in your packing facility, you have to have a cooler. And we have I believe it's a 30 by 40 walk-in cooler. It's has a big old door, and it's just, we can store up to 39 bins. And a bin is it's a 20 bushel a bin box that we use to harvest the fruit in. So our cooler, you know, it's not the biggest thing around, but it works great for us here on the farm. We have a 20-acre apple and peach orchard, so we store a lot of that stuff in there. And whenever you come through, pick the apples in the bins, then you store them in the cooler, and then as your demand and as you're wanting to sell them, then you need a packing line. And we have a small one. It's not very, you know, it's not really high tech. It's 30 years old, but hey, it still gets the job done. So we just put the bins on the lift. It lifts them up, and then we select them. It first washes them. It uses 2 rows of misters to scrub the apples. And then our packing line, you know, the more apples you put in, the more apples it's going to push to the packing line. I know some of the automated systems, you know, you just put the apple and it's just, you know, at the end of the line, it just, you know, it's in its own box. But for us, you know, the more apples we put in, it pushes us, and then it goes to the wash, and then it rinses off, and then we have a different kind of sponges to actually dry off the fruit. And after it's dried off, we use the fruit. After the fruit is dried off, then it goes in. It gets selected by size. We have a 2-inch, 2 1/4, and 2 1/2. Or is it 2 1/4, 2 1/2 inch size fruit, and then everything above that continues on. So the belt, when it keeps rotating non-stop, and the fruit rides on the belt. If it's a small fruit, it falls through the belt, and then it goes in a different bay, and then it just continues. And then if the medium ones fall in the different bay, and then large ones could just continue on and fall in a different bay. And whenever we do make apple cider, we just close all the chains off, and it just goes straight into our cider room. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and watch my how to make apple cider video, and I show all that. And you know, coming on pretty soon, we're actually gonna start pressing apple cider, so you guys are gonna see plenty of that. So having a packing line or packing facility is very important whenever you do have, you know, either fresh market or just even for a U-pick operation. Because if you have a U-pick operation, people are still gonna come out to your farm and they want to buy fresh fruit off you. So you know, it's just a packing line, a cooler is very important and critical. And then of course you got to have an actual structure, a building to actually put it in. And we have the big old warehouse. It's not really that big. Once you fill it up full of boxes, and you know, you start storing all the cider gallons and empty boxes, it gets pretty full. But if we were to pull everything out of it, you know, it'll be actually pretty big. But it's not, you know, you got to figure out your size of the orchard and packing line and stuff. So yeah, whenever you do have an orchard, packing line, cooler, you know, just knowing what you're going to do with the fruit is very important, and having somewhere to store the fruit. You know, a lot of people say, you know, we have the advantage here on our farm because we have a lot of cold storage. Alrighty, y'all, that's going to be pretty much it for today. As you guys just saw, that's some of the stuff, that's some of the equipment you need or must need whenever you do have a farm and an orchard just like us. So that's going to be pretty much it for today. If you guys have any questions or comments, if you guys had any questions or comments on the video, leave them down below. And whenever it comes down to different, you know, equipments and stuff, and you guys want to know more, just go ahead and send me an email at realfarmerdre@gmail.com. And we've been working on my website, like I've been explaining to you guys. So for now, just send me an email at realfarmerdre@gmail.com, and I'll try to respond. If you guys want to know more chemicals to spray, you know, where to buy all the equipment and stuff from, because if I would tell all you guys, it'll get kind of boring. But you know, if you guys want to do that, just send me an email. I'll get you hooked up with different suppliers and stuff, and I can also send you guys the information from different nurseries, you know, what kind of rootstocks to use and all this other good stuff. So I want to say thanks for watching up to this point. You guys have a good day, and we'll see you next time.